The Guardian is one of the best designed classes, I think, in the last few years of Pathfinder 2e. It's simplistic and yet incredibly useful and versatile for a class whose entire gimmick is just big armor class and hit point do not die. And if you've taken even one glance at the Guardian's lists of feats, you've seen that they've given this class so many different directions it can go beyond just face tank. So welcome to my video on my top 5 favorite Guardian feats in Pathfinder 2e. And y'all, this one was hard. Y'all, I've got an honorable mention, I got a top 5, there's even more I wanted to put on this list, but let's get right into it. But first, I want to give a huge shout out to all the members of the No Net One's Patreon. If you want to get your name on this list and support the channel, there's a link in the description where you can pledge for $1, $5, $10, or $20 a month. They all do the exact same thing to support me a little bit more. Thank you so much for your consideration. I want to start with an honorable mention, and I would like to hammer home the point that this feat that I'm about to tell you about is an honorable mention because it's so powerful and feels so good and it's so dumb, and those are all recipes for getting so high on my top 5 list, and yet this one is just honorable mention. Level 10's Belly Flop. This sounds like it might be a silly gimmick feat at first, but let me read this out to you because it's absolutely insane, and I feel like I cannot do it justice without reading it out verbatim. For one action, while wielding medium or heavy armor, and you are adjacent to a prone enemy, then you can make a fist strike against them. I liked how I said I was going to do this verbatim, and then I just started explaining the feat. Welcome to No Net Ones, where the quality you get is up in the air. As part of this attack, you also drop prone, but you don't take a penalty for being prone, and if this strike even normal hits the target, they become immobilized. No saving throw, they are just immobilized underneath you. Sure, they can make an escape check as normal, but not only is the escape DC your athletics DC, but you get to add your armor's item bonus to it. That's crazy! At level 10, that's +1, but at level 11, you get access to +2 armor potency runes. As someone playing an athletics-focused grappler, if I could get a +2 to my escape DCs, that would be incredible, because the hardest part of being a grappler in Pathfinder 2e is that monsters have really high unarmed attack rolls, and they can use that to escape from a grapple. But in this case, getting the +2 to that is insane, increasing to +3 whenever you get +3 armor runes, I think at level 17. Oh, and by the way, this immobilization isn't just for like a round or anything. As long as you do not stand up and you do not move from your space, they are permanently immobilized until they escape. Also, just like a lot of Guardian feats, if you have a shield that deals damage or a gauntlet weapon, you can attack with those instead of your fist. This is the honorable mention. Potentially permanent immobilization is the honorable mention. But let's get into the list proper, okay? With my 5th favorite Guardian feat, let me paint you a picture. What if there was a feat that said, for one action, gain +2 armor class for the rest of the encounter? That sounds pretty good, right? That sounds insane. One action, +2 armor class for the rest of the encounter, Paragon's Guard. For one action, you enter this stance and raise your shield. You are now considered to have your shield raised as long as you are in this stance, and you only leave stances if you do it voluntarily or you fall unconscious, or the encounter ends. You enter this stance and your shield is up forever, meaning you can shield block, you get the armor class bonus, and you no longer have to spend an action every single turn. That is disgusting, and that is my 5th favorite feat. I'm sorry, I don't think I hit this nail on the head hard enough with my hammer that is my brain. You are a Guardian. If your character's goal is to have the highest armor class possible, you are going to want to raise your shield every single turn, which is a 1-action tax every single turn. If the encounter lasts 5 to 7 rounds, that's 5 to 7 actions you used just keeping your shield up. Paragon's Guard, 1 action, save 5 actions? That's number 4, please. Hampering Stance is a feat for the Guardian that I'm not the biggest fan of. It's existed before. For one action, you go into a stance, and then every single square adjacent to you is considered difficult terrain for your enemies. This is even better if you're playing a large character, or if someone can cast Enlarge on you, because that means even more squares are difficult terrain. But Hampering Stance is not my fourth favorite Guardian feat. No, I think Hampering Stance is mid as hell, but it's a prerequisite for my fourth favorite Guardian feat, Lockdown. Lockdown is one of the most insane feats I've ever read. I need to stop using the word insane. Please, I just can't even imagine how many times I've used the word insane since the beginning of No Nat November. I'm gonna try not to use it anymore. This is gonna be difficult. Lockdown is simple. For one action, while you are in Hampering Stance, you can attack an enemy within your melee reach. And if the strike hits and deals damage to the enemy, then until your next turn, the enemy cannot move beyond the reach of the weapon that hit them. There is no saving throw. There is no escape check. I was talking about belly flop being permanent immobilization. Lockdown means they can't leave your reach. Period. If you hit them with Lockdown every single turn, they have no choice to go anywhere except for around you. They can still move around you, they can go behind you. If you've got an ally hiding exactly behind you, they can move around you to attack them. But if you are out of reach of any of your allies the enemy wants to attack and you hit them with Lockdown, they can't go anywhere. It's like they're locked down or something. The hardest part of Lockdown is that if you hit an enemy with Lockdown, you can't attack again with the same weapon that you use with Lockdown, otherwise it does get rid of the effect of Lockdown. But that's not really a big deal. You're a Guardian at level 6, you probably raised your shield, taunted, and then locked down with your fist. That's 3 actions. That's a perfectly fantastic turn. You don't need to attack again. It's gross. And then on the following turn, you can do it all again. It's nasty, dude. The fact that they can't even roll to escape this is mind-boggling to me. Especially for a level 6 feat, the fact that they can escape from belly flop, but they can't escape Lockdown is, don't say insane, synonym. Now let's get to my second favorite Guardian feat. Hi, I'm No Nat Ones, but like the editing version, and I'm just as confused as you are. Where's my third favorite Guardian feat? I don't know. It's on my script. But just like I love to misread Pathfinder information, I misread my own script and somehow skip entire feats. So here I am right now to tell you about my third favorite feat, Shielding Taunt. Luckily, it's a stupid simple feat, so this bit doesn't need to go on any longer than it needs to as we slowly zoom in on my face. Shielding Taunt is exactly what it sounds like. For one action, you shield, and you taunt. Your taunt gains the auditory trait since you bang your shield to make it happen, and I think that's cool. But overall, it's a level 2 amazing action economy. This means on one turn a Guardian can move, taunt, raise their shield, and attack a creature. Absolutely revolting. Fantastic feat. There's a reason it's number 3. It's simple, but it's so powerful. You get it at such a low level. It's universally useful on any Guardian using a shield. Fantastic stuff. Just probably retrain out of it if you end up taking Paragon's Guard, because then you don't need the action economy saving because you're automatically raising your shield anyway. God, Paragon's Guard should have been higher than it is. Anyway, back to me being stupid, which is actually the first Guardian feat on the entire list, Bodyguard. We've all got that one squishy character we want to keep safe. The cleric in the campaign that I run has gone down first in combat like 5 times, partially because she's a girl failure, but also because the cleric is a cloistered cleric and has really poo-poo armor class and enemies hit hard. With Bodyguard, you look at your squishy ally and say, hey, now you're safe. Because you pick one ally as your charge, and if a taunted enemy ever attacks your charge, they take a -2 to their attack roll instead of the normal -1. That's crazy to me. That is an entire proficiency bump down in accuracy. And this is level 1. If an enemy has a +7 to hit and they target your cleric, but you taunted and they're your charge for you as the bodyguard, they go down to a +5? And they become off guard? It's so cool, and it adds such a great roleplay opportunity. You know I love to give these feats bonus points for roleplay opportunity. Having Bodyguard to actively defend a specific member of the party who might be a little bit more physically fragile can lead to some wonderful character relationships in that defensive manner. that builds into roleplay. You save them from a critical hit in the middle of a fight, that might come up in conversation later, that might build trust in the party, or maybe you and that character already have that kind of relationship. It's a level 1 feat. You can have this out the gate. It's so universally useful for any Guardian. I love Bodyguard. Bodyguard is such a cool feat. It matches every single bit of my criteria for my favorite feat videos, and it's mwah. But it's still only number 2. And that's because number 1, that was such a good take. How dare you, phone? Number 1 is incredibly simple. So simple that a lot of people might see it as boring, and I can see why, but it's so powerful that it completely offsets the simplicity that would usually D-rank feats in these videos. That's because my favorite Guardian feat, just because it makes the GM's life a consensual living hell, Group Taunt. Taunt is already so good. You pick an enemy and they get -1 to hit everybody else but you, the Guardian who has the highest armor class in the game. Group Taunt lets you do that to 3 people every single turn. 3 enemies. 3 taunts. Most fights aren't gonna have more than 3 enemies. You know, sometimes you might have a big battlefield that has like 7 or 8 enemies, but there's never more than like 3 or 4 active threats at a time on a big battlefield. Chances are you're split up a ways. If you're next to the rogue and you two are flanking and fighting 3 enemies at the same time, cool. Taunt, taunt, taunt. They can either all attack me, the hit point sponge with insane armor class, or they can all attack the rogue at a -1 penalty. Oops, I took bodyguard and the rogue is my charge. Cool, all 3 of them can attack at -2 on the rogue, or me with a million billion hit points who never dies. Group Taunt is really good. I'm not afraid to put simple feats as my favorite, because sometimes they are, but there are right and wrong ways to make a simple feat, and I think Group Taunt is absolutely a right way to write a simple feat. All it does is takes your class's main feature and triples it. The fact that there's not like a lower level double taunt that upgrades to Group Taunt is wild to me. By the way, there's a feat that gives your taunt 120-foot range. Combining that with Group Taunt, there's no range. You just can taunt every turn. You're insane. No, I didn't say, I said I wouldn't. I've already failed. But there are my top 5 Guardian feats. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are there others on here that you think are better? Because they might be. There's so many good Guardian feats. It's wild how much love this class got top to bottom. It feels like another version of the fighter and the ranger and the monk, where you sort of build your character with your feats. And that makes sense, because the Guardian doesn't have a subclass, just like the monk and the fighter. Those are honestly my favorite classes in all of Pathfinder 2e, where you don't get a subclass, but you get so many more options per level for feats that you get to build your own subclass as you play through the campaign. I think that is where Pathfinder 2e shines at its best, and the Guardian is an amazing example of that. I want to give another huge shout out to all the members of the No Net One's Patreon. Thank you so much for supporting me and this channel. If you'd like to get your name on that list, link right in the description. Whew. Whew, we're coming down to it. Whew, there's less than 2 weeks left. There's less than 2 weeks left in November. Can you believe that?